All right, testing, testing. I think we are finally live. That was a process, but I think I figured it out. We should be good to go. So, first stream here. I'm excited to see that we're going 2025. Going to be a good year, and we're just going to get started. So, this year, I don't know, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and after a rough 2024, I think it was time to make a change and kind of do something that I actually really wanted to do. So we're going in this semi-blind, starting a quote unquote indie game dev studio, but that's not really what this is about because I got no experience and there's no way I could compete with anyone out there. It's more about starting from the scratch and slowly actually working on a project, hopefully together, and getting something out there. So this one, we're really going to focus on kind of just brainstorming because I have an issue with scope when I do stuff. Big issue with scope because I try to do too big a lot of the times and then get overwhelmed. And with all of that, you get overwhelmed. There's too many things to do. I end up putting it aside at some point. So this time, I want to nail down a scope. And for this, I want to kind of just spend this time brainstorming what type of game we can do with a relatively limited scope, but also fix this. Oh. No, I want that to stay. Keep this up here. That's fine. Yep. So really want to try to work through brainstorm what we can do and hopefully nail down a scope on this. Maybe not too crazy and really figure out what we want this thing to look like. And then from here, we'll try to follow the steps. We'll go get an idea, flesh it out, get our game design document going. And then weekly streams, we can continue to work on this together. Throughout the week, I'll be trying to learn some more of the ins and outs of the actual programming and theory and all that fun stuff. But when we're here on Thursday nights, early Friday mornings, I want it to be just us working on this project. So I've kind of already started going through here. Yep, scope. I was looking at that too when I was putting this together. Going through here and really trying to think what are my favorite games right now and what kind of types of games can we make that aren't too ambitious. Like some MMORPG is not going to happen. I got to be realistic, even though that's probably what I want to make. So we're looking at, I mean, there's probably a lot more game types, but these are pretty typical ones, right? That start with to go through a platformer or an arcade style game, kind of like your Asteroids or Galaga or whatever those may be. A maze or room game, which could be easy. I don't want to say easy enough because none of these are easy. Or a puzzle. Some sort of puzzle game. I mean, those are kind of the four types that I think right now we could make it so we get a scope that's actually doable and completable within a decent time frame. I mean, technically anything would be completable with you have 20 years, but we're going to go in this trying to do it. I want to try to finish something within 12 months. So this is the beginning of 2025. It's the second. So in 12 months by 2026, I want to have something finished updated and uploaded on Steam. Hopefully, that's the plan. So we got to keep it small because that's a lot to do and a lot to learn with limited time in this year. So, looking at kind of what my favorites are, what should we do? I mean, these kind of we break down some of my favorite games. See, there's a lot of, I don't know, kind of cartoony, not all that realistic, and then Diablo thrown in there. Specifically, Diablo 2, I think was the best for me. So yeah, what can we do with this? Limited game, platformer maybe, arcade. Because really, my brain, I am a sucker for, and I'm going to get a lot of crap from MapleStory. I don't know if anyone's ever played that one, but it is, let me, yeah, I just want to pull up some pictures so people can see. That not work. We can go straight from here. Because I don't know, that's the one game that I played since beta on that one. I mean, a lot of people give it a lot of crap, and for good reason. It's the one game that everyone's players will not recommend. But it's good. Let me do this one. Yeah, so there's that. I don't know if anyone else has ever tried this game, but pretty. I mean, it looks simple, but very in depth. And as time went on, it definitely got greedier and greedier and more pay to win. But I think, like, the world about it would be nice. Legend of Zelda. Can't go wrong with that, right? Ocarina of Time's probably my favorite game of all time. And I don't think people would be too upset with me saying that. Let me see if I can pull up something here too. Just for funsies. Yeah, we can use this as our visual kind of board. Diablo 2. Image. Oh, there we go. And then Super Mario. Mario 2D game. I mean, I like the 3D games too. But again, those would be pretty ambitious, to say the least. Let's do Mario 3. Super Mario. Yeah, so those are the four I'm kind of going off of that are my favorite that I think could maybe be useful so we can put something together to keep it in scope and make a game that we get out here. So from Zelda, my favorite things of that one would be the music, which I mean we're listening to right now, right? Makes sense. Is there a way to do that? Oh, no way. That's all I had to do. Is that going to screw up anything here? Oh, perfect. Okay, okay. Now we're good. Got that figured out. Easy enough. But yeah. So from Zelda, I really like the music. Like, I think every single game has amazing music. It's something like that I would love to introduce into a game of my own. It's music I listen to all the time. When I'm working, when I'm relaxing, is beautiful soundtracks. And then the environment from a lot of them, because I think it has a good mix of some of the darkness. Like if you go Twilight Princess, it's kind of dark, but then also fun and bright. Like Ocarina of Time, I think does a great balance of that, especially going from childhood to adulthood, where childhood it's nice whimsy, fairies, and all this, and then you get to adult and the entire world's different. I love how that is. That change is so good. And then the puzzles in there are really nice. Some of them are hard enough that can be a challenge, but a lot of them they're very intuitive. And I gotta make sure wife's not texting me. Make sure everyone's good. Nope. Always got to make sure the family's okay first, right? Family and kids. Okay, no screaming. It's always good. Yeah, like I said, like the puzzles. I really enjoy going through the puzzles in those games because I think they do such a good job introducing you to the mechanics without having a full-blown tutorial where you have to go through step A, B, C, D, and it's 2 hours long and you finally start the game. So those are kind of the big things from that. And the Maple Story, I really like the character progression. More so, I'm gonna maybe get a lot of hate for this. I liked it early, but that's probably because I was a kid too, and it was more of a social game. But you really felt yourself grow in the game, starting off just doing no damage and slowly building your way up. Nowadays, you kind of hop on there and you're doing billions of damage out of the gate. But really, starting small, the slow little increments, getting a new sword, getting new armor that actually meant something. So I really enjoyed that. The art, I like most of the art style. I'm not too. I'd like to be maybe a little. I don't want to say realistic, but maybe less of that chibi look. The monsters in it though, they each have personality. I think that'd be really fun to implement into a game. Not like maybe a monster collector thing, because I mean Pokemon is actually on here too. Should I add Pokemon? Yeah, that's not what I wanted to do. That's swim lane. Yeah, there we go. We had Pokemon here too. And so for Pokemon, I enjoy I do like the battle mechanics. It's deeper than you think. I do like the simplicity of it. Even though I do wish the games would be harder. I guess we can start color coding these too. But really for this, I don't think I'll be having too much of that into it. It's not what I'm feeling right now. Maybe, I mean, if everyone else disagrees, we can do on this together. We can go on a whole Pokemon clone game. But I want to do something different. And then going down to Maple Story, I really like the account progression where you're encouraged to make multiple characters. Like in some games, like on Diablo, you want to make more characters, but there's no clear incentive. So in Maple Story, you make one character, it gets added to what's called your Legion. And then you can add another one on there, so then your whole Legion gets stronger, which makes your entire account stronger. But each character can only add a certain amount to it. So I like that it encourages you to make a ton of characters to boost up one, but it also has a downside. I feel like it can kind of lead to FOMO. And that's my least favorite thing in these kind of games, where you're so scared of missing out on certain things that you have to log in, so it becomes addicting at that point. Which I'm sure it's good for the bottom line, but I don't exactly agree with that. Gotta have a coffee. What else can we do? Diablo. I have such a love-hate relationship with Diablo. Especially Diablo 2, because it's one of my favorite games. I love the loot hunt in that game. But especially on Diablo 2, it was so repetitive, and it's tagging into the dopamine gambling receptor, right? It's a slot machine. You hit the button, do you get something good? Which is nice for a while, but that leads to, I want it to be played because it's fun, not played because you feel like you have to. Right? It's going into the FOMO. So let's start making a list of things we want to avoid. How do we want to do this? Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Get out of here. Let's duplicate this. We'll put it over here. Part of our brainstorm too. Yeah, so what do we want things to avoid? Move my coffee out of the way before I spill that everywhere. So can we clear all? Delete. Delete this. Delete this. I guess we'll keep these two. So what I want to avoid FOMO of the game, which I think that's really more of a problem. MMOs, right? Where they have these daily events, your daily login credits, your this and that. So I mean, I'd really want to avoid that. I don't think that's good for player health. I don't think it's good for anyone's health. And it really leads to a more of a toxic game player relationship. I've run into that with MapleStory plenty of times. And it leads to you get very excited for something and then you get burnt out. Excited, burnt out. So try to avoid that. I think events and stuff are fine. Leads to or player game relation. You want it to be for fun, right? I want it to be for fun. Things to avoid. Huge scope. We want to keep it simple. This is our first game we're doing together. I've dabbled around in some stuff, but we want to keep it simple, right? What's this thing? Cool. We are live. I kind of want to make sure everything's looking right. Does it sound right? Everything good here? Okay. Yep, I'm good with that. I think so. I'm excited. All right. Huge scope. Need to keep it simple. We want small, obtainable goals. Dripstone, right? Dripstone creations. Small, little drips can make something big. That's kind of the idea behind this, because I need to remind myself. And yes, before anyone calls me out, everything right now is AI generated logo and stuff, and I'm not a fan of that. But right now, this is more of just a passion project, and I want to start getting more people involved, and I will start reaching out to artists once this becomes commercial at all. As soon as I make $1 from this is the plan. So yeah, so what things do we want to avoid in this game? So we talked about really the FOMO. Don't want to make that a core piece of anything. That's probably more of the MMOs. That's too big of a scope, which leads us to here. I want people's input on how we can keep our scope limited, because right now my mind is going everywhere. Everywhere. There's just so many things up in there. So we want to go small, obtainable goals so we can build on something together, and release something as the goal, right? Eventually need to release something. So if anyone has any ideas how to help me with that, that would be great. And I think a big part of that, once we go through this, is we can get our game design document put together. We're trying to do this by the book, right? Figure out kind of what we want, figure out how we're going to do it, and then lay it out to be very specific to how to limit what we're going to do. We're going to do our game design document. Keep focus narrow. We want to release something. Hey, what's this doing here? Oh, that's why. And I want this to be kind of interactive between everyone, right? I don't want this just to be me. This is for us to work together, because that way I have someone that's, well, multiple people hopefully holding me accountable. And I appreciate input. Like I said, I have no experience in this. This is for fun. This is for a little passion project with an end goal. Hopefully we can do something cool. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed, but it's going to take a lot of community help and a lot of work on my end, because I'm so impressed with what people can make. It takes so much time. And to think I'd come in here and just make some amazing game right off the jump is it's not going to happen. I want to make sure that I show that I am very humble about what people can do, because I know I can. I know I'll need help, which is I'm hoping to bring everyone else in here too. All right, so let's add another swim lane. Still learning this program too, which seems kind of cool for brainstorming, especially on screen here. Called Miro. I don't know if anyone's used it, but it's pretty cool. Back to here. Things to avoid. AI usage, which I'm already failing, like I said. But for this game, I have tried to make a couple games. And one I don't want to say far into it, but a decent way in, but most of it's all AI generated code. So stepping back when I have to fix something, no, not a damn clue. It's all over the place. It's spaghetti. It's a mess. So here, once it becomes commercial at all, no AI art. No AI written code. Help is okay. So, and really, a lot of the times, it's such a topic right now in this industry and all industries, is the use of AI. And it's such a good tool when used properly, when you know what you're doing. Just like anything, really. If you don't know what you're doing and you start Googling something, you don't know what you're going to Google. If you don't know what to look for when you're researching something, you're just going to throw stuff on paper. You have to do everything with a critical eye. And right now, I don't know enough about the coding part of this, the actual process, to use AI code properly, right? If you have 20 years experience in here, I think it's okay, generate this code, because you can go through and be like, oh yeah, makes sense. this isn't what I wanted, throw that out. And it's a time saver. But when you don't know and you just start relying on it, first of all, you don't learn. Second of all, if you end up producing something, if anything goes wrong with it, you're screwed, right? You're not going to know how A connects to B, connects to C, messes with D over here. So we want to avoid that. But, oh, didn't want that one. But I think it's okay, like I said, if we use ChatGPT or, I mean, there's better other ones, as more of a Google, like, hey, I need a good tutorial on this. I need a good reference to learn this. I think that's good. I will do that mostly not on stream. That'll be my learning and everything. And then when we come back here, we can work together and actually type out our scripts as we're going. Because I think that's what I want. I want to be together putting this. I want to ask, like, hey, we're making a character movement script. I think we should do this. What do you guys think? What do you think our speed should be? How high should we jump? And we can go through. Is there a better way? Do we use rigid body velocities? Do we use just translation? What is the best thing? And I would like a discussion in there to help me learn. Because look, I'm no expert. I'm just a lowly civil engineer. I don't know how to do all this code. I don't know how this all works. But I do have a passion for making games, I believe. It's always been in the back of my mind. I've never tried it, right? Like I said. So I have the passion there for that, but who knows? I have a passion for coffee. Need coffee. 2 kids. I work nights. It's hard. All right, so what other things should we avoid? Let's add another swim lane. So really, I want to... Let's put these in order, because I think huge scope's the biggest one for me. I want to avoid that huge scope. Keep it focused, keep it targeted. Small, attainable goals. FOMO. I don't know that'll come into play. AI usage, we want to avoid that. And we want to avoid... It's going to be a weird one. Trying to be unique. Which may... Does that sound weird? Does that make sense? Like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Sorry. Got a kid sleeping, gotta keep an ear on. I don't need to reinvent the wheel for the first game. And it's okay to do something, maybe not copy, obviously. But there are a lot of good things out there to build upon. Like, there's a good platformer that you could not copy. But you can have something similar. Especially for first game, it's more to learn the ins and outs. I think it's important to add your own twist or... twist... gameplay element, something like that. But it doesn't have to be a mix of this game and that game and this and that and put it all together and completely out of the blue and we make this thing. Because if you try to do that, I feel like especially as we're going through this first one, it's just going to lead to more mental fatigue and probably burnout and not making it happen. So we can do something that's been done before, and that is okay. And I have to tell myself that. And what else do we want to avoid? Is there anything? I mean, yes. What else do we want to avoid? I think that's it for now. We can move on to some of the other things, but I do think that's good. All right, so next one. What do we want there anything from each one of these that we want to take? I guess we can start thinking more of the game types. Right? And then we can work on some little sketch of it. But the game types here, I keep going back. Keep going back to some sort of platformer. Right. I just a lot of my favorite games are platformer type. Right? We got Maple Story, Mario. I mean, it's basically a 2D platformer with monsters, which I do appreciate. And I let me know if you feel otherwise. I don't think I want to make a Mario type platformer. There's a lot of those out there, which I know don't need to be unique. And I'm not going to, but there's a lot of ones with really tight controls, really good gameplay and interactions that I don't know if I'm quite ready to really dive into the physics with all that. They make work so well. I mean, we could. But I really, in the back of my mind, I am feeling a mix of. This is going to be weird. Tell me if this is crazy. Let's just start sketching. Okay, I'm using a mouse, so it's probably going to be terrible. Can we do a shape? Shape. All right. So here's our level. We have do thick. Okay. So let's say we have our ground. So pretty. We have got our start point. Oh, you can't see that at all, can you? Start point there. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. And then say we got our floating platform or whatever up here. And we got our end here. So in platforming, you get from point A to point B, right? That's all you got to do. Start here, we hop here, hop on this, hop this, avoid this, and we get to the end, we're done. But I believe I want to, this is just what's been in my mind, I want to work on this together, okay? Remember. But I believe I want to, so you'll have some platformy bits. Right, these, boom, 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 get to here. Get to here. Cool. So things I do want to incorporate, I think, are what we got here. Here. Oh, way too big. No, too big, too big, too big. Get up there. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you could do that. Oh, didn't want to do that. Yeah, let's do bullet point. How to make this wider? That is so cool. So let's try that again. So I want to add some platforming elements. Go back to our freehand. So we have this little guy. This is going to be our player. Way too thick. Yeah, better player. They gotta move. Maybe there's a ladder here. And they eventually hop here, get up here, whatever. Eventually, they get to the end, right? That's how it would start. That's kind of the basic thing right there. Platformer, start to end, normal. I want to add... I was thinking we add timer. So each level gets a certain amount. So maybe this one is 5 minutes. Sure. Timed levels. So cool. I love that. Oh man. Yeah, look how easy that is. Time levels. Let's keep this stuff a different color. Stuff that's going to be in the game. Okay. Time levels. Platformer. It's start to end. Cool. We're going to have platforming elements. Some sort of speed/time element. And then monster. So I'm thinking, obviously you'll have, okay, platformer, you'll have, let me just add a rectangle here. Fill, magenta, C, Control B. What's some sort of player health? Right? So you go through normal platform, you jump, you can die, you die, level's over. Right? But then also I wanted to make it to incorporate some sort of battling to this. So these are going to be my monsters. Oop. Unlock this. Yeah. Can I like grip this? Aha. Yeah, so you go, you platform, and there are types of monsters. There's gotta be a way to make this bigger, right? That's fine. Enemy monsters. And we'll probably have some sort of monsters remaining 5. Some UI element. See. I actually did 5. Look at that. Yeah. That'll show, it gives you a clear... I'm hoping that the timing could add a replayability to this to try to beat your best time. That's the goal with that. Because if you can get much more efficient here, then maybe you can go through all the levels. You beat it, you try again. Oh, let's try this path. Let's try this way. So to finish the end, there's 3 things. You have to survive, because each of these will do damage. You have to beat all the monsters, and you have to get there before time ends. So each level can be a combination of which one of these is going to be the hardest. Is the timer going to be the one that's going to be really hard? The monsters maybe be easy, but you really have to get through the platforming well. That can be some levels, which I think is nice. Or is it going to be the monsters are going to be hard? Is it going to take a lot to kill every single monster? Or are the monsters going to be really strong? Are going to be able to get to the end while staying alive? So 3 different things, and we can do a combination of these. We can't do them all at once, right? If you do a bunch of monsters, no time, and they do a whole bunch of damage, that's just going to be so punishing that I don't know if anyone would like to do that. So there's going to be a nice balance between those. And yeah, I think that's the general idea for like a typical level. And this is where I want to avoid getting too far in the weeds, because at the end of each level, I want there to be a choice. So you complete the level, you get to the end. Successfully complete level. And then you get this choice. And here I want to add, let's just add a frame here. And let's lock that. So you get through the level, it's completed, and then after each level you have a choice. We have attributes. Let's do this. Attributes. So we do strength, agility, sleight. Sorry, these are just terms that I was using in a previous game that I was messing around with. Strength, agility, sleight, and wisdom. So after each level, you get to choose one of these. So you choose one to increase each level. And then also, you get to choose weapons. So it's going to represent your class after the first one. And I know this sounds like it's going to be a lot, which it probably is, but there's only a limited number of what you can do. So it's not like an unlimited scope. I hope. Let me know if this is already starting to sound too crazy. So then you can choose your weapon, which is more like your class. You can grab a bow, ranged. You can choose a staff. So this is after the first level. First level, you go through and just punch things. I'm already starting to think that it's getting too crazy. I mean, I think once we get one level working, I don't think it'll be too bad. Staff is going to be magic, obviously. We'll do dagger, slight, which I'm thinking is more like sneaky, and then sword. Magic. It's really some more stealth. Sword's melee. So the first one, you'll choose this. And then the next one, either, hum. Yeah, let's draw this out. Let's diagram this together. So we're all thinking about the same thing. Nope. Okay. All right, so let's go level 1. How do I want to do this? First level. You kind of want to do it this way. That's not what I want. How do we want to visualize this? I mean, if I can't visualize it, that's probably a sign that's too hard, right? We can just do a decision node. Okay. So here, you can either go so level 1, you complete it. You can do bow, or you can go sword. So then once you get to the next level, this one you have 2 choices. And this one will be skill or mastery. I think the way we'll do that. Skill or this one. Where mastery is kind of more just your base damage. So it'll be taking your attributes and that'll help how much damage you do with the thing. So bow, your mastery, you'll do 10% extra damage each time, just normal attack. Where skill is, maybe it's multi-shot. So you want your multi-shot allows you to use it, but it's going to be based on your mastery damage. So you need a mixture of both mastery and skill. And then if your skill hits a certain level, maybe there's a power-up, and that's the limit. Skill gets to a certain level. I don't want this to be as long. There's gotta be a way to. That's fine. Skill gets to a certain level, and then we will go and have 2 more options. And that's it. One option. Another one of these. Section option. So you beat the first one, you'll choose your quote-unquote class. You use bow, sword, blah, blah, blah. Your next level, at each one you'll get attributes, right? At each one you'll get attributes. Yeah, so our attributes will be strength, strength, wisdom, sleight, and agility. So we want to make it so if you go bow, you don't just do agility every time. Right? Or maybe you could, and that'd be a way to min-max everything. Right? But that'll only be once you get. So strength, we want it to increase defense / health. New text box. Defense and health. And then also obviously it's going to be melee damage. And then slight boost to ranged. I think this is doable because they're very clear steps. Very clear progression. Boom, 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 boom. So this is going to have, oh, I need one. So this is one path, two paths. Really 3 paths that each one can take. It's only 12. That's not an unlimited, like, think of the Path of Exile array. That thing is insane. This is clearly boom, boom, boom. You can either do this, 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 and this. And I think we can make that work. Right? That shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't be too bad. Some water. Yeah, so if we look here, I think this could be good. I think this could be good. And we'll do similar with wisdom. What do you think it should be? Because I want to keep the one thing I know Maple Story is a problem. Sometimes Diablo was is you end up going so hard towards one stat. Sorry, make sure the life's all good. It's to make sure everything doesn't just go all the points into strength or all the points into intelligence. Like I know for Diablo, it'd always be do your minimum amount of strength and max vitality, right? And to make it so that you want to add different things despite being, if you pick the bow, despite being an archer, it'll be good to have some strength. It'll be good to have some wisdom, some sleight, but mostly agility. Right. I think the plan is to make the platforming hard enough in some spots that while it's possible to not have any, I don't want anyone to get locked going through here. While it's possible to make a jump or a series of these with no agility, having that helps so much for your time. So when you get to level 6 or something, if you don't have a point into agility, your character's speed and jump's going to be so slow that these precise jumps are going to be hard, making it tough to beat the time, right? We also want to make the monster strong enough that if you don't have any strength, that's going to be hard to survive. And I think that's the balance we're going to be toying with this whole time. I think I really like where that's heading. I really do. Yeah, and I think overall, do we want to do it? I think we can do an overall time, like how quick you complete it all. So platforming element, speed time element, and then with this, we'll do track completion time per level, overall completion, do overall completion, maybe leaderboard. But just say for now. So if you want to run through it with a bow and see if you can do better with this, or if you want to do a full agility and maybe that platforming part helps, you can try to beat your time. The monsters, varying defense, and we'll probably have magic defense or something throughout. Boss every 5 levels. Platforming elements, and I think we're going to aim for a total of 20 maps. I think 20 will be enough time to actually make it worth a playthrough without being too quick. And I'm hoping once we get this all done, it's kind of like we get this one dialed in, and then it's just really getting precise on where we want things to be. What do you think? How do you think it's coming so far? I kind of like where it is heading. I know this has been mostly me on this first one, but once we get more people in here, we can become more and more, but that's just going to take time. Like, we got to build a community, right? We got to do this together. Total 20 maps. Speed time. Monsters, very difficult, or very difficulty. Bosses. And for the bosses, maybe aim to make... Let's cater to certain builds each time. So maybe the first monster will have a ranged attack that it's really nice to be an archer to kind of be far away and avoid it. One of them will have a strong melee attack, so you want your defense. One will have a strong magic attack. So again, it forces more of a spread of your stats. I like that. Controls, things to avoid. Scope, and keep it simple, small, attainable. So I think it's maybe a little bigger, but I think if we end it here for the scope, we should be okay. Because we can make a platformer, we can make a monster, we can make a timer. Right? Each thing individually is not too bad. We can make an attribute system. Easy, we're not making a whole bunch of stats, we're not having all these crazy interactions. You had 1 point per level. I think that is attainable too. And then for the weapons, if we keep 4, we don't really get too many branches. We get 2, I mean, this isn't even a branch, right? Because you're going to be doing both at the same time. So at level 20, you'll be 19 of them, right? I mean, I guess 21 maps. So you get 20 points. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, and then final boss. Final boss at level 21. And I think that's going to be the main thing here. So how do we want it to feel, look, control wise? I already kind of decided, since I have a little bit, and I mean a little bit of experience in Unity, to kind of just go that route. Unless I can be persuaded. I can definitely be persuaded, but I'm at least familiar with using, and maybe make this a little bit easier. What's I doing down here? Class. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's fine. Let's delete that for now. This is going to be kind of getting in the weeds a little bit, which we don't need to. We need to stay high level here. So let's add another frame here. This one's going to be art style. I guess let's do game styles. This is going to be platformer. What kind of platformer do we want it to look like? Yeah, let me. What are some 2D ones? There is a Terraria. I want just. That kind of platformer, right? Where it's not tech. It's in 2D. You have platforms. You land on it, but you can interact and build and all that stuff, but still kind of platform that way. We get Mario 2D. What's it? Mario Wonder. That's the new one. Where? I just want gameplay. Oh, huge. So that kind of platform, Mario, where it's tight controls, it's more about the main land, and there's some additional platforms here and there to get through, and some power ups. You can do that. Obviously, that's a good map. Yeah, so those are the kind of platformers looking at. I mean, maybe not necessarily for art or anything, but the way you interact with the platforms. Because I want it to. So, like for Maple Story, it doesn't really have that platforming. Some of them do. There are jump quests. But it's more so just how the map's laid out. There's different levels to give you, instead of in 3D, give you the depth, they give you it vertically. That's what it's doing there. Where in 3D, you can just spread everything out, add hills here and there. But this is the only way you can add some interest to the maps instead of having a flat line, is to add different platforms like that. Which is nice. I think it'll have to take part of that. Like if we're going to have monsters on platforms and we're in 2D, we will have to take some of that. But I also would like it to take some of what you do in Mario, right? Because that's very precise jumps. There's very specific platforming elements, whether it's moving platforms, it's environmental damage. You got spikes and fire and bullet bills and all that stuff like that. I want to incorporate both of those. And then Terraria, I don't know. I think put that more for the art style, able to go down. That's probably less what it's going to be doing. I think a combination between these two is more going to be how we're going to this here, add this here in the same spot, text box here. So really this is going to be Maple Story type platforms for monsters, etc. Mario type platforming elements, which are like these, like I said, spikes, fire, bullet bill, environmental damage. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I do like that. Yeah, because I think, like I said, the big thing is going to be, where do I have that? There it is. It's really the balance between these three things. Monster strength on one level, the timing to be the platformer, and then the health. So if there's a lot of, could be an easy platformer per se, but there's a lot of environmental damage. So that's going to make your health down. A strong monster that maybe is not killable, but you have to avoid, that can bring your health down. I think that's going to aim for really good gameplay. Good gameplay that we can all kind of work through and balance out. You don't want each to be the same. If you do everything just to be monsters, then that's fine. So I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's going to be good. All right. All right. So we got that. You do that. That's good. That's good. That's the game style, the type of platformer we want. And then what's next? This one's going to be art. I'll keep the Maple Story one up here because I do like how the on a 2D how it has a nice depth. If we're able to get something like that, it'd be nice. But I kind of want it to be a little darker. Like how, I don't know the exact kind of vibes. themed. What are some one like Hollow Knight? I was like Hollow Knight. Here. Yeah, because we're gonna have platformers or platforms. We want the environment to feel good to be in, but it doesn't necessarily have to have a complete world built around it. Right? I feel like Hollow Knight's good. Like, here's your game. It's your platform. It's beautiful. But Maple Story, it's really like an all-encompassing global thing. Like you have your towns, they have to have all this depth. Sorry, I heard the child again. What else could we? What other art styles can we look into? That also need it to be simple, but once we get into this, hoping we even made $1 by then, and then it'll be really getting an artist. And to do 20 scenes, 20 levels, probably gonna get pricey, but it'll be fun. You guys will help, right? Right? Um, my princess. I always loved the medieval time, like fantasy medieval, right? This will be Twilight Princess. I mean, I think really the way I'm thinking it would be kind of a mixture of all three of these. The charm of Maple Story, but with a more realistic, darker tone, like maybe the tone from Hollow Knight, and the level of realism in Zelda, but not quite that crazy because it's going to be 2D and smaller. I think that's the blend. All right, let's do. We do style elements from Maple Story, platforms, depth, charm, with tone of Hollow Knight, and style to extent realism. Oh, let me do that. Of Zelda. So if we mix those style, because I think this puts a good base, right? It's got a nice level. It's got platforms. It's got ladders. It's got ramps. It's nice there, but I want it to be a little darker. I don't want it to be super cheery. because I want it to feel like you need to get through this to save something or other. It's not all super whimsical like that. So that's why I kind of like the tone of Hollow Knights. Maybe a little brighter. That's kind of dark, but I like that. I wouldn't say impending doom because that's a little too much, but it really has a nice melancholy. I don't even know if that's the right word. You kind of get what I'm saying. And then for Zelda, like I said before, I feel like it's a good mix between. I don't want hyper realistic because that's going to look weird on 2D. But I don't want super cartoony because that's kind of what Maple already is there. So the style, I wish I don't know how to explain styles, but the style would be a mixture of those three. Yeah, and I'm just using these for reference. I'm not trying to make the next this, the next that. But I like that. And for the music, that one sounds like my kid. No? All right. And then music. You got to have good music. And I think I need to listen to some more music, video game music. Because I keep going back to, I really like a lot of the MapleStory tracks. But they're kind of all over the place. Like the older music is very different than the newer, where they got more techno here and they got more flutes and orchestra kind of there. But I think a music or a mix between that and Zelda right now. Like I love Zelda music. It's a good environmental feeling. But for this again, it doesn't need to have a whole bunch of different music tones, different moods for this area and that area because it's going to be a very linear 20 levels. Maybe it'll gradually go into different types. Maybe you start in the woods and you go through the desert, you go to the mountains, and maybe each one of those you get kind of a different music, but it doesn't have to be a very, what am I trying to say? It doesn't have to be set to each like specific town. You don't need to have town music here, town music there. Right? Yeah. So I think that can be pretty simple. And then it's going to be sound effects. Like each monster probably needs a sound effect when they get hit. Okay, so we got our style. We got our basic sketch. So we go through here. We kill all the monsters in the amount of time. We do some platforming. We don't die. We get to the end under the time. We save our time. After we beat the level, we get a choice of an attribute every level. And then on the first level, we'll get to choose our class. Then after that, we will have the option of adding to our mastery or to a skill. And at a certain level of skill, say you need 5 mastery and 5 skill points, you can get a power up, right? Because to power up, you need it. So that's that. Loot. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to come into play on this because I think randomly generated loot and equipment on players and adding all those stats from your equipment and however all that interacts, that's going to push our scope way, way too far. And we need to keep it we need to keep it focused. Keep it focused. And I think that's kind of where we want to be there. Let's keep going through here. Yeah, let's kind of dive into this. How are we going to make these so people want to add more of each? Sorry, that's a little small. Let's add each. Let's see. Control V. Each one of these needs to do something that people want. So wisdom, Increase magic. And I guess for using our skills, it's going to take mana. What could be mana? I don't know what we'd call it yet. So for that, I guess the wisdom can increase your magic defense. It increased your magic damage for sure. But what else can it do? So we can have it either decrease our mana cost per skill, or we can have it just increase max mana. And or we have it increase mana recovery. Yeah, I like that. Like that. We're gonna call it MP right now. Recovery. So then there's an incentive you want to add points to wisdom because every class is gonna have a skill that costs mana. So if you have that, it's gonna take forever for your mana to recover. But if you start adding some wisdom, that's gonna increase. Therefore, you can use your skill more. Therefore, put more damage no matter what you're doing. We're not going to have it so you can just spam potions, right? It's going to be all pretty self-contained through there. Okay, I like that. Melee damage. Yeah, because if your strength also be increase of range. Hey, welcome. I think that's good. I think that's good there. I'm trying to think if I want. Maybe we also want added increase jump. I don't know why I can't expand this. I'm definitely doing something wrong. Increase jump. Right, because if you add strength, more jump, so that'll help with platform. Does each one of these need to help with platforming? Not necessarily, but it gives a mage. Yeah, I think that's fine. So slight, it's going to be increased void ability. If I could spell. Is that not a word? So instead of giving you defense, if you do slight, you can just have a chance to miss. So it does almost the same. So what do we say? We're going to have dagger. So slight would be a dagger, which would also be a melee. Right. So why would we ever want to... Can we have a stealth? We're going to have a stealth attack? Because if you're a dagger class, I want to make sure there's a reason to add slight. Right, increased avoidability is nice. Maybe it adds... Okay, we'll do melee damage. And then also less than power or less than strength. But also give it to damage up less than strength. And something else. We can think about that. Do you have any ideas? Anybody have any ideas on that one? Because that's what's it? Booster range? No, magic damage is not gonna be slight booster range. Do slight boost slight. Because it's sneaky, magic's sneaky. Stealth. I don't think they're. I don't know. I don't know yet, and that's fine. It's fine not to know everything here. Then agility is going to be increased accuracy and speed. And okay, you know what? That's what we can do. Melee damage and attack speed. Agility will be accuracy and movement speed. It also is range damage. Some avoidability. Right now I feel like the wisdom needs a little bit here. Extra defense, MP recovery, health. So it'll be max health. This way MP will always have a set 100 MP. Moves will take 30. You get your mastery up. I guess you get your skill level up. We can start decreasing that. Or I don't know. We can bounce. That's easy enough to change. Agility is going to be range damage. You're going to be increased accuracy. So with that, what are our player attributes that we need to calculate? Don't want to do that. So our player attributes that we'll have to take into account are... That's not what I wanted. So weird. Hey, come back. Attributes to calculate. So under this, we obviously have the first four. Well, actually, let's just start here. Health. 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 And then we have health recovery. MP recovery. Because health, we'll get more health. Because the monster's going to do more damage. We have to do that. MP, that's all player side stuff. Health, MP recovery. We will have avoidability. We will have accuracy. We will have oh yeah. movement speed, jump, attack speed. We will have defense, magic defense. Then after all this is calculated, we'll have base melee damage, base magic damage, base ranged damage, base stealth damage. Actually, I think it'll just be these ones. The dagger will take into account your avoidability. I think we'll actually give it a boost in damage. So the higher your sleight is, the higher your avoidability is, the higher damage is. But also give you a little boost to your melee damage. And we'll see how that balance works. So these are the attributes. Then, of course, on top of, we will need strength. Gosh, I'm so itchy. Wisdom, agility, and sleight. Now let's make a web of messy things. So strength is going to impact health. Strength is also going to impact health recovery. What is strength red? Red. Strength is going to impact melee damage. And strength is going to impact based range damage. We can get that right? Okay. It's going to affect all of those. Oh, you can't see that. There we go. Thank you, thank you. And it's also going to impact our jump. Health, health recovery, jump, base melee damage, base range damage. Perfect. And then wisdom is going to wisdom's going to be purple. MP recovery. Wisdom is going to impact our magic damage. Beautiful. Oh, this is a nice way to look at it. This actually helps a lot. And the magnitude of each of these changes, or the impacts, we'll figure out later. Oh, I forgot one for power. Here. Okay. I think power, strength. Sorry, not power. Strength is already looking too good, right? Let's move this in. So wisdom we go through here, it is going to impact MP recovery, it's going to impact magic defense, and its base magic damage. So 1, 2, 3, where power impacts a lot. Here, we'll just see where we're at once we get all these. Agility is going to be accuracy, right? That's what we landed on. Agility is accuracy. I'll make this one green. And then we'll add another one. So we can probably just copy it. Agility is also going to movement speed. Agility is also going to our range damage. And agility is also going to movement speed jump slightly. Jump. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's not crazy. And slight. What is slight gonna do? Oh, attack speed, right? Attack speed. Which actually gonna be a very important one. Slight will make blue. See, control V, attack speed. It will help our avoidability. Slight, we're looking at avoidability, melee damage slightly. Melee damage. So if you're a mage, why would you want to add to... Oh, attack speed. Right there. Attack speed impacts everyone. So you're definitely going to want to add slight no matter what character. You get your attack speed up, boom, you're golden. Oh, yeah. All right, this is fun. I mean, I hope once we get some more people in here that everyone's going to like it, because I think this will be real fun. What next? What next? I think slight needs one more. Decrease avoidability, which also increases. We don't have stuff damage. Range damage, the only thing that, okay, I kind of want 2 things to impact each one. So maybe we actually have slight. I think it kind of makes sense. It's kind of like, what I think a slight is stealth, it is smoke and mirrors, stuff like that. So I think it actually makes sense to have it boost magic damage a little. I mean, obviously less than wisdom. So we got 2 things impacting melee, 2 things on magic, 2 things on range. Good. Balance feels good. Attack speed, it's only slight, so you're going to want to. Movement speed is only agility, so you're going to want agility no matter what. Health is only strength, so you're going to want strength. MP recovery is only wisdom, so you're going to want wisdom. And we have to make sure that as it scales, it is something that is useful. Okay, I like this interaction. I like this interaction a lot, actually. I think that's good. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. So when you start, should you... Now, we're not... You're just going to start at base, like 5 across the board or something. P recovery, 5 per 5 seconds or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't want to start adding more classes and characters, because that's going to make this become crazy, right? That's what we want to avoid. Okay, so that looks good. How they're going to impact each other exactly, that is fine. What else should we think about? Anybody else have an idea? What's the next thing we should sort of think about here? Sorry, I keep knocking my mic. I think we can continue down this path now. Like, where should we... What kind of enemies do we want to look at? We pull up a couple, some of my favorite. I love this monster in Maple Story. I think it's got so much personality. It's a possessed toy with the ghost. Something like that feels really nice, but I also want it to be... I don't know if how rooted in reality. Like, does it need to be nature? Does it need to be completely fantasy? Can we find a nice middle ground? I know I have... And I know we hate to do this. Let me find this. I have an AI generated one. I'm sorry. I know we talked about this. Once this becomes commercial at all, we can really get rid of that. But it really helps me. I have, what's it called? Let me Google it real quick over here. Aphasia. Aphantasia? I think I have a... Yeah. Aphantasia. Which is... I have a really hard time mentally in my head to picture anything. If it's not in front of me, might as well not exist. Like even my wife's face or an apple. An apple's a good example. So if you close your eyes, try to visualize an apple. Some people can actually see, I was gonna say a 3D rendering of an apple, but like an actual apple and like spin it around their head and see the colors of the stem. Mine at best is like a gray blob. So I have trouble articulating things from my brain, like the concepts that I'm thinking, onto paper, because there's no middle ground there, which I think is why I don't necessarily like art or coloring, because it never comes out how I want to, because I don't have that middle step to, this is the visualization of it, then go into paper. But I could just be pulling that out of my butt. So what other monsters do I like? Let me pull up stuff here. Yeah, Mario monsters are just, they're a little too simple. I think some of the Legend of Zelda ones. I think that could do well in a 2D environment. Trying to remember. Like that could be nice, like a spider. Oh yeah, I was pulling up the. I got distracted. Art sprites. I always liked this one that I have. But yeah, like I said, this one's AI generated. It's a little too cutesy, but it has a feeling of both nature and also monster, which I really like. And then another one that I really liked again. This is I need something as a placeholder. So when I go through, I can't picture anything. So let's put this one here too. So these two, let's be abundantly clear because I don't want. We're gonna do no. These were AI generated. Okay. Yeah, so those ones were the AI generated ones, but I mean, I still like the style. I mean, I had to pull it from somewhere, right? So something out there exists that's like that. I think if we get something, I don't know why I really like that. But that if that can become more natural, let me see. Twilight Princess. Gotta make sure these aren't weird images that I'm grabbing. Smaller. Zoom in here. No, Midna's not really an enemy, but just the style. See, I think this one might be too detailed. See how these ones are simpler? I think for what we're going for, that something like that's too detailed, but I kind of like the level of realism. All right, that's what we're going for. And then I want to pull up a few more Maple Story ones. Uh, oh, that's a ton of them. I don't need all of them. Let me pull up the Maple Story wiki. I'm sure it has every single monster. Oh god, it sure does. All right, I'll pull some up for next time. But I think that's where we're going to end it here for today's stream. Thanks everyone stopping by. Had a really good time. I think we made a lot of progress. on what we have between our map, our style we're going for, the monsters, the stats. Like, look at all this that we did actually today. Just a couple hours. So yeah, I'll keep going on doing some training, learning everything on the side here, and then next time we'll start off with probably our game design document, and then we jump